Hi, I don't know how well this has come out because I'm using the webcam we usually use to record our duels or form the team channel. Basically, my new computer up there is having issues with its onboard microphone, so it may be a while before you see a face video from me again. But I'm here to review the new Xyz structure deck, or Xyz structure deck, or XYZ structure deck, whatever you want to call it. Basically, the new starter deck. It comes with 3 of the Exseed monsters, 2 normal monsters, and everything else. I'm using my Kaiba mat because, let's face it, I've been known as Seto Kaiba 3.6 for a very long time. I just recently got known as Yusei Fudo and everything else. Anyway, let's begin. Utopia, aka Emperor Hope. And I'm not going to name all of them, I'm going to show you the pictures, show you the stats. As you can see, we've got a few normal monsters from the good old age, from the old age, and everything else. Now, this guy is interesting to me. He seems to be just a replacement for an older card, but with newer stats. Konami likes to do that a lot. This guy is basically another form of that as well. Yeah, that guy's pretty good. It manipulates levels. That's what you need in those type of decks. And this guy is probably going to see more play later on, because he can bring back 2 cards from the graveyard, makes this Exseed summoning a whole lot easier, and it's any 2 cards. The XYZ or Exseed summoning, I prefer to call it Exseed, is very interesting in the fact that it's any monster. Where it gets evened out at is the fact that it's a counter base instead of like synchro summoning, which can abuse effects. It is counter based. The searchers, which are very good old searchers, Blade Knight as a common, that almost makes me sad. Yeah, a lot of this is just basically, you know, starter deck fodder. Even though I love the artwork, it's still kind of just a interesting card. Sorry, I've got flies all over the place in my room. Alright, I'm going to do a little bit more depth on this one. This one's going to see a whole lot of play, possibly in 3s in most XYZ decks. Basically, for certain cards like King Emperor of Hope, Utopia, you remove counters off of it, and the counters you remove off of it, or as they say, XYZ materials, but basically what it boils down to is the 2 cards beneath it are 2 counters. When you remove one off of it, it allows you to stop an opponent's attack on Utopia. Well, this card will turn around and allow you to use the counters in a different way. It will make it more abusable for the fact that you can remove the counter to destroy 1 card on your opponent's field. It has to be a face-up monster, but this makes it really playable for that fact. Yes, it's a cost, but it's a cost that fits the deck. I still know there are other cards out there. Good old Mystical Space Typhoon. Good old Fissure. Swords, I really don't know what to say about this card anymore. It used to be really good back in the day. As you can read by the effect, it was really good back in the day. But it has seen less and less play in more current formats. I mean, that's because the game's going so fast and everything else. Yeah, a lot of these cards are way too old for most competitive players. In fact, most competitive players I've talked about Exceed summoning don't even want to look into it. They say it's stupid. They say it's not abusable yet. And unfortunately, they're right. Even most of the high-class number cards, about 4 or 5 of them, are really playable. While the other ones are just, oh, this card gains so much attack, or this card can stop another card. It kind of needs to push beyond those boundaries. I mean, I'm not saying I want anything broken like the no cost on certain cards. Like, let's start off with Caster. Caster has no effect and can basically remove everything but dark types in the game. Another one of the XYZ cards. I am really upset about the XYZ name change because I worry people are going to be winging around that guy. My friend Jason already thinks because of the ruling changes, XYZ is going to be able to affect the old XYZ monsters. We'll have to see. Yeah, see, the XYZ cards are going to be good, but I really wish they just left them as Exseed and been done with it. Dust Tornado. Trap Hole, and that's my cell phone. I'll get to it in a little bit. 7 tools, which I don't know why it's not played that much anymore. 7 tools basically negates anything they want to throw at you as far as traps go. Oh, you're going to Psalm Warning my Gores. Well, 7 tools you're Psalm Warning, you know? Probably doesn't work that way because of timing issues, but you know, that's an example of 7 tools usefulness. 7 tools in Dark Bribe. I'm surprised I don't see in every deck. Mirror Force. It's been lowered to a common, which is great, but at the same time you kind of feel old about the classic cards going to the wasteland like that. Regeki, yada yada. Well, not yada grossu, but you know what I mean. Limit Reverse, Reinforced Truth. Now, the problem with all this is a starter deck, so as you know, it's not going to be as playable as everything else right out the box. But as far as the XYZ goes, I can't say this deck's not going to be too playable. In 3s, you can get the cards to really make it abusable. If you're using King Emperor of Hope, you can always turn around and, well, I should call him Utopia, but this is one of those versions where I'm pretty sure at some point I'll start calling them by the right names, but until I do, they're just going to be those cards. This card's not going to get much play because it's basically not that abusable. You can stop 2 attacks and even if Kariba targets it, it dies. But what's going to make it more abusable is there cards coming out in sets in the next Generation Force actually. They can turn around and, oh, I stopped its attack, but it gains double the attack next when I attack again. That stuff's going to make it very useful. And useful is the way to go. When you're starting to try to balance out the game, you gotta give it ways to be abusive. And unfortunately, that's one of the big issues with this. It's very well balanced.
Going this way.
And as you know, being very well balanced, it's not going to be exactly purely welcome just yet. This game has had a bad history of abuse. For the deck itself, I'm happy a lot of these cards are finally becoming common. You know, it was hard to get a hold of them back in the day, and now that they're becoming common, it makes it a whole lot easier to play the game again.
What are you doing?
Anyway, so far for the review of the deck, playable wise, I wouldn't suggest it straight out of the box. Maybe if you buy 2 or 3, tag them together, you know, get a good XYZ basis, you can do damage with it. But until then, I would just hold off, buy 2 or 3 of them, and wait for Generation Force. Generation Force comes with a whole new XYZ and a whole lot good support for them. Alright, can't say much more than that, running out of time. So, yeah.